this is level L, list 12, and we're doing the day 1 page, and our words are word, work, worm, worst, world, and you can hear in those words we've got the sound, but we're using the OR to make the sound in these words. So let's colour them in with one colour highlighter. Then you can choose another colour and we'll look at the next one. Great, break, steak. We're using EA to make the long A sound in these words. So you can colour those a different colour. And then the last one we've got aunt and laugh. So we've got the AU making that R sound there. Not many words with that, with those two letters making that R sound. Okay, so let's go back and have a look in more detail as to why these words are spelt the way they are. Now, word, if you put your hand over your mouth when you say each of these words starting with W, so we've got word, work, worm, worst, and world, there's no air after the W, so there's no H. So that's the easiest way to work out if there's an H after the W, is to just feel if there's air there. If there's no air, there's no H. So none of these have an H in them. Okay, so work here, we have a long sound and then a K, so we always use a K after a long vowel sound. Whenever you have a vowel with an R, it becomes an R-controlled vowel, and we know that R-controlled vowels are always long. So worm, worst, world, okay, nothing more we can see in there except that they all start with a W, so you can highlight that to remind you there's no H's in them. Then let's have a look down here. Great, break, steak. Okay, we've got a long vowel sound and a K, long vowel sound and a K, aunt and laugh. So we know the GH can make the sound. There's not many words where we use a GH for the sound, but this is one of them, laugh. Okay, let's go back and see what these words mean now. So word, words are made up of letters, and then when we've written a word, we can join them together to make up a sentence. And through a sentence, we can tell someone in writing what we mean, what we're trying to convey or tell them about. So the word, this word has 4 letters in it, so you can see it's made up of letters, and different letter combinations can make different sounds. So we can represent the sounds we say in the words we write. So work is the things that you do maybe to earn money. When you're at school, you have to do things. Just like when you work, you have to do things. So eventually, the harder you work, probably the more money you're going to earn in your life. So work, another word for work could be toil. Like the dwarfs used to toil in the mines. Work hard is what they used to do. So it's assigned work that you must do, assigned tasks. A worm is a creature that likes to live in the soil. We like lots of worms in our soil because they make the soil nice and healthy for our plants. The worst is the worst thing that can happen is a superlative. You could have something that's bad, you could have something that is worse, like there's a bad banana, that one is worse, but the worst one is the most bad of something. World is the planet that we live on. Great. Now this great means something's really good, it's fantastic, it's super. You can also have a great spelt like this, but this great means the grate that you would light a fire on or have in your fireplace. So this is more an adjective, whereas this is actually a noun. Break means that something snaps, or you could break a glass, etc. At school, when you have a break, it means you have some time away from doing work. Steak, now this steak is the meat you eat. You could have a steak like that on the barbecue, etc. There is another steak, and this means like a stake in the ground or a post in the ground. Aunt, this aunt is either your mother or your father's sister, or it could be your mother's or your father's brother's wife. So it's someone you would probably call auntie. So there is another aunt, but this aunt is the abbreviation of are not. And to show that we've joined two words together to make one word, we put a little apostrophe in and we've taken out the letter O there. Laugh is when we laugh about something. So we're finding something funny and we have a good laugh. So let's go back and read the word, sound the word and spell the word, and then you can finish this page on your own. So we've got word, word, W-O-R-D, W-O-R-D, W-O-R-D. Cover it, write it 3 times, and then check to see that you've got the word right. This is level L, list 12, and we're doing the day 2, and we've got quite a bit in this list. So the first one, we've got the OR, making the sound. So we've got word, word, work, worm, worst, world. You'll notice that there's no H after the W in these words. If you say each word, word, work, worm, worst, world, you'll notice that there's no air after the W, and that's your easiest indicator to know that there's no H either. So you know after a long vowel sound in work, you only use a K for the sound. These ones are quite easy. Great, we're using great, break and stake. We're using the EA for a long vowel sound A in these words. Great, break, stake. And in these ones, aunt and laugh, we're using the AU for the R sound. So they're quite tricky words to spell. Now after this long vowel sound here, we know we use a K, long vowel sound, just the K. Here we're using the GH again for the F, which has already come through in list 1. Okay, so let's have a look at what these words mean. A word is made up of letters, and we use words within sentences to give meaning. Work might be the type of activity that you're doing, perhaps to earn money, or when you're at school you have to work hard to learn. A worm is a little wiggly creature that lives in the earth to toil through the soil and make it nice and rich for our plants. Worst means the worst thing that can happen. It might be bad, it might be worse, but worst is the most bad, if we'd say that. Something happens. World is the planet in which we live, is part of our world. Great. Now this great here means something that is big, or it means it's something that's really good. You can also have grate spelt G-R-A-T-E, and that's a grate in a fire or over a fire. We can put wood on a grate so the air gets through, so we get a bit of fire. And if we put a grate on top, we could cook things on top of it. Now this break means when something is broken, it's past tense of the word broke, so we know it's a verb. It could be a noun if you're saying, oh, you're going to take a break in the day. Now this break here has that meaning, but there is another brake, B-R-A-K-E, which means the brake on your bike or in a vehicle to make it stop or slow down. This steak means the meat that you eat. You might have a steak on a barbecue, and there is another steak which means like a pole in the ground that you might use to if you're building a fence or something. Aunt is either your mother or your father's sister. Or it could be your mother or your father's brother's wife. So, and it's someone you probably might call auntie. Laugh is when you find something so funny that you make a sound, and it's called a laugh. It's when we're feeling very happy. So if we're going to read, sound and spell those words, we'd go W-O-R-D, we'd cover it and write it, and then we're going to check to make sure that we've spelt it correctly. Here you just have to write the list word to match the meanings. Of course the words are all up here for you to fill in these spaces with. fill in the gap with the missing list word. Now you've got to read sentences and find the most appropriate word to fill in the gap. And once again, you're using those list words. Synonyms and antonyms. Synonyms, we know, mean the same. Antonyms are the opposite. So you've got to find words that you can use there for them as synonyms or as antonyms. 2 other words here and 2 other words here. Homophones are words that we've said before. They sound the same, they're spelt differently, and they mean different things. So writers have generated these different spellings so that the reader can understand very clearly what they're trying to tell them. So if we had break spelt the same way, it might be on occasion difficult to work out what the author's trying to say, but it's very clear when they're spelt differently as well. So something allowed to tell our something what we have bought for her birthday. So your word choices are break, break, great, great, steak, steak, and aunt, aunt. So this aunt here is short for are not. So if you're not sure if that works, say in its extended form, are not, like we are not allowed to play on the road, or we aren't allowed to play on the road. If it makes sense in its extended form, then you know that that contraction would work in the space. This is level L, list 12, and we're doing the day 3 page, and our words are word, work, worm, worst, world, and then we've got great, break, steak, then we've got aunt and laugh. So we've got the OR in word, work, worm, worst, world, making the sound, and then down here we've got the EA is making a long A sound in these 3 words, and we've got the R sound in aunt and laugh. So the other things you have to look for is there's no H after these W's, so if you said these words with your hand in front of your mouth, there would be no air expelled after the W, so that you know that there's no H after the W. You know, after a long vowel sound, you use just a K for the K sound. The next thing down here, we've also got that same long vowel sound in break and steak, so we're just using the K once again for the K sound at the end of those words. Now laugh, we can use the GH too for the F sound, so we've got little R, F, so that GH is making its F sound. Okay, let's try reading, sounding and spelling and writing these words. So we've got word, W-O-R-D, and cover it and write it. Now you need to sound these words, and if ever you're writing a word that's difficult, sound it, then search for the letters that match the sounds in that particular word, and then try writing it, and then check to look at it to see if it looks right. Here you can check to make sure that it looks right. If it's wrong, rub it out and start again. Now comparative is when we compare 2 things. A superlative is when we compare more than 2 things. So if we want to say more, something is more, we add to the end of the word. And if we want to imply that it's the most of something, we add est to the end of it. So if we want to do that to great, we would have great, greater, greatest. That's the common form that we would use. But sometimes we change the word. So use all the words below in one sentence. So we've got bad, worse. The superlative of worse would be worst. So then you have to find a sentence that you can write all 3 words in the one sentence. And just copy it down there. Verb families. First of all, you have to write the base word here, then you're adding the S, then you're adding the ing, and then you're adding the ed. But just be careful, because break is an irregular verb. It will go, you will be able to go break, breaks, breaking, but you can't say braked, he braked the glass. You would have to say he broke it. So just be careful in writing that one in. but the others should work for you. Now fill in the gap with the missing word in its correct form. It might be one of these words, but it could be a list word, another list word with another extension on it. So just be careful. Don't limit yourself to just choosing from here. Use this list as well. So combine with the list word a something, cross something, earth something, time, something bench, something class, something knife. Once again, you're going to use these list words at the top. This is level L, list 12, and we're doing the day 4, and it's about homophones. So match the homophones and write them. So you've got to write a homophone on either side of the cups. Draw a picture above each word to show its meaning. So remember, homophones are words which have the same sound but different spelling and different meaning. So we've got bear and bear. So let's have a look at our words here down the bottom to help you. I'm going to find saw and saw. So I'll write one on either side of our little cups. So I've got saw as in a saw leg and saw as in the eagle will soar through the sky. So you could draw a picture for each of those two. As you use each word, cross them off as we did for bear and bear, and that'll make it easier for you.